Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and before we dive in, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this on your Facebook page. Okay, I'm on the front porch this morning, or this afternoon. I think it's afternoon. And I wanted to come out here. I haven't decorated my porch for the spring yet, but I wanted to come out here and just sit out here for some ideas. And so while I was sitting out here, I thought I might as well go ahead and do a video out here. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the easiest plants to propagate so that you can save and grow fast in Zone 8. Now, before we jump in, I brought these out here too. I just want to show you why I got them. So I never got around to doing my summer porch last year. I usually do spring, summer, fall, and winter. This year I'm only gonna do like a spring, summer combined to reduce costs. And then I'm gonna be doing fall and then of course Christmas, winter. But I got these last year, these beautiful strawberry pillows. I got them from, what do you call it? Home Goods. Golly, I couldn't remember the name. And they were on clearance for $24 last year. And I really love the sweet strawberries. And so I'm going to use these from last year. I didn't get to use them out here, but I'm going to use them this year. And I'm really going to focus on a lot of vintage touches and really utilizing what I already have here in my home to decorate. Because I think that's a trap that I fall into quite frequently. I end up going and buying a bunch of new stuff, and I don't need a bunch of new stuff, right? So I can buy maybe one or two new things and then use mostly what I already have and just be really creative with what I'm doing. So I want to give y'all that as just a little sneak peek of what we'll be doing for the porch. I hope to do in the next week or so. My sister is coming in town. She lives in Virginia. They are coming in town to look at buying a house here. So they will be moving to Texas in mid-July. And if you don't know, my sister is Elisa with Scrappy Wife. She has her own YouTube channel and she's really into journaling and planners and crafts and craft rooms and all that kind of stuff. So very cool. Okay, propagating plants. So for years, you guys have been telling me I need to propagate. You need to propagate plants. You need to propagate plants. And I've been like, Well, then about the last 18 months, I have been propagating plants and it is a game changer. I should have listened to you earlier. Absolutely should have listened to you earlier. It is a game changer and it saves so much money and you get plants quicker than starting from seeds. And there are only some plants that do really well starting from propagation. So what I really wanted to talk to you about is 8 easy to propagate plants that I love to reproduce for my space. Okay, so why should we propagate plants? Like what's even the purpose of doing something like that? It saves money. That's a huge thing for me. Gardening has got to be one of the most expensive hobbies, for real. Very expensive hobby, and propagating, it saves me a ton of money. So especially with high-priced annuals and perennials, it's just a great way to add depth and fullness to your garden for a very small amount of money. Next is faster garden coverage. We can fill beds and containers quicker than if we were having to start from seed. So propagating process goes a lot faster. Next, we avoid garden center shortages during peak spring gardening. That's not really something I run into because I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and there's a ton of nurseries here. But if you're in smaller, more rural areas, you might only have one nursery option and things can run out quickly. So propagating gives you the opportunity to create a whole bunch more plants and not have to worry about competing against other shoppers. All right, next, it's great for gifts and plant swaps. Absolutely. This is a great way to do plant swaps. You know, if you got trade scantia or you got some coleus, you got some different things, go ahead and propagate those, plant those up, bring them to plant swaps, give them to friends, give them to neighbors, gardener friends. Just a really inexpensive way to give an awesome gift. All right, and finally, perfect for gardeners in Zone 8. That's where I am, where these plants grow quickly and thrive. And I have an optimal climate for propagating. Now, a lot of my propagating I start inside, and you can do the same if you're not in Zone 8. But it is an opportunity. Our weather tends to be so warm and we have such long growing seasons. It's a perfect opportunity to propagate. Okay, so I want to talk about My top 8 plants for propagating, what the plants are, why I think it's great to propagate, the particular propagation method for each of these plants, and bonus tips. Now, I'm sure I have missed other plants that are awesome for propagating. And so if I have missed those, make sure to drop those down in the comments below so that all of us can learn from your knowledge and hopefully save some money for our gardens. Okay, number 1 on my top 8 easy to propagate plants is coleus. And I've been growing coleus for years upon years upon years. I originally would buy it and then I did a little bit of propagation. Now I'm growing it from seed. Like it's really great. And I love growing it from seed. It gives me a lot of interesting varieties that I don't typically have access to. But propagation is great. Why it's great? It's a bold, beautiful color foliage that's just next level. There's nothing like coleus. It is extremely fast growing and can be pricey in mixed pots, especially when you realize how easy it is to start from seed and how easy it is to propagate. It feels silly spending $15.99 on a pot of coleus when you realize that you can really just kind of create something yourself. Now, propagation method for coleus, you can do stem cuttings directly in water or moist soil, and they tend to root within 5 to 7 days. I've had more luck with directly into soil. I like to use a rooting hormone. I think that's extremely helpful. I have had luck growing them in water, right? Just putting the cuttings directly into water. However, I have a hard time transferring those from water to soil. So I don't typically do the water method anymore. And then bonus tip for coleus is to pinch the tops regularly to encourage a bushy growth. So coleus, when they get started, they can just grow one long giant stem. We want it to bush out, so we want to pinch it earlier. Whatever you pinch off, you can take that piece and propagate it. So keep that in mind. Great way to just really keep coleus going throughout the whole season. Now for Zone 8 Texas gardeners, it gets really hot for coleus in the summer. June and July is a really great time to go ahead and take a bunch of cuttings and propagate those, maybe inside where it's a little bit cooler. Propagate those and then have them ready to plant out in early fall, and then you have all this beautiful fall color coleus out in your fall garden. Okay, number 2 on my top 8 easy to propagate plants is sweet potato vine, which is a workhorse in my particular area. Sweet potato vine is comes in a variety of colors, of vibrant lime greens, purples. Proven Winners has come out with some new varieties that are like greens and pinks and whites, which are really, really pretty. And it just goes and goes and goes. And my area loves the heat. So why I think it's great, it is gorgeous trailing foliage, and you can put it in hanging baskets, containers, you can use it as a ground cover. It's really great, and it can be expensive in hanging baskets, which is why it's a great opportunity to be able to propagate it. Now it's also an annual, so you can propagate it towards the end of your fall, right before winter. Go ahead and take cuttings, propagate it, and then have it to go for the following spring. Propagation methods for sweet potato vine take 4 to 6 inch cuttings and root in water or soil. Roots form extremely quickly with sweet potato vines. Like I said before, I do like to utilize a rooting hormone. I just feel like it helps. You don't have to do that. That's not required. It typically will form roots within 5 to 10 days, which is awesome. Just absolutely awesome. And a bonus tip for sweet potato vines is it can be overwintered indoors or propagated early, just like what we were talking about. Take the cuttings and propagation at the very end of your fall, right before winter, because it does not overwinter in our area. And then go ahead and propagate those inside, and then you'll be ready to go for the spring. So theoretically, you could just buy sweet potato one time and never have to buy it again if you're really good about propagating it. I need a drink. Not a fun drink, like a Gatorade. Okay, number 3 on my top 8 easiest plants to propagate is basil. And basil, it's kind of a twofold for me. I grow it, of course, for culinary use, but I also grow it for cut flower arrangements. It's wonderful foliage and even pretty, delicate little flowers for cut flower arrangements. Absolutely love it. And the best varieties to propagate for basil are Genovese, Thai, and purple varieties. Why it's great? It is pricey to buy in pots, and it's extremely prolific in the garden. I mean, right now at Home Depot, you can get like a little like quart pot. Gosh, it might be smaller than a quart, and it's like $5.98 for basil. It's just crazy expensive. So if you were to buy that pot, come and take some cuttings and pinchings off of it, propagate those, then you could turn that one plant into maybe a dozen plants, which is really awesome. And it grows so well in my Texas Zone 8 area. Loves the heat, very prolific. Every time I cut on it, it just produces more, which is really great for the garden. Smells amazing. Propagation method for basil is a soft stemmed cuttings, because basil can get very woody towards the closer it gets to the ground, the soil. You don't want the woody cuttings, you want the soft cuttings. Soft stem cuttings in water or moist soil. You got to keep it in a warm, bright area. All of these propagations will need sunlight, and they'll need warm areas when you're growing them on. And basil typically takes 5 to 7 days to propagate, which is like nothing, right? If you really kind of consider being able to turn that one plant into a dozen in 5 to 7 days, that's absolutely amazing. Now, bonus tips for basil. It is a great companion plant, meaning it works well with a variety of other plants, tomatoes, marigolds, just mixed in. I think it's a really great pest deterrent, because I don't think a lot of pests like the smell of the basil, because it is a strong scent, and it adds instant volume to edible gardens, or truthfully any gardens. It doesn't have to be just an edible garden. I love to tuck in basil where I have holes in my garden, because it just produces very quickly, fills the space, adds some pretty texture and color, especially if you have some of the purple varieties like dark opal or cardinal basil. Oh, I love cardinal basil. Absolutely awesome, beautiful plant, and very easy to propagate. I'm seriously like looking around, thinking, planning. Can't wait to get started out here. Okay, number 4 on my list of the 8, what I think are the top 8 easiest plants to propagate is salvia. And specifically, annual types like Victoria Blue or Mystic Spires are really great to propagate. Why it's great to propagate these? It adds a lot of height and pollinator power to your garden, which is awesome. But also, these annual salvias tend to be pretty pricey. I picked up some today, and they were $8.98 each for a gallon, which is actually an amazing price. I got that at Homegrown in Farmersville. It's actually proven winners that I got for $9. Awesome, which is very exciting. However, if you need several of those plants, well, that gets very expensive very quickly. So you could just buy one plant and once again turn it into 8 to 12 individual plants, which would be fabulous. Plus, salvia is very prolific in gardens, specifically like mine, Zone 8, where it is hot and so great. So it will put on a cycle of blooms, and then you can cut it back, and then you can do another cycle of blooms, which is really, really awesome. Now, propagation method for salvia is softwood cuttings in early spring. So right about now is the time to be doing that. And salvia stems can be a little bit woody. So closer to the base of the plant is going to be harder. Middle of the plant is going to be semi-soft, and then the top is going to be new growth that's very soft. You're aiming for that center portion of the salvia when you are propagating it. And you do need to keep salvia humid with a dome or a bag over it until it has rooted. And it typically roots in 10 to 14 days with a little bit of bottom heat. So you can put it on a heating mat. And we're talking through all these methods today. I do plan on trying to propagate tons of different things this year, and so I'll have some individual videos. I have a lot of already propagation videos from the past that you can go look up if you're interested in as well, but we'll do some more this year. Anything I can do for cost-effective budget gardening, we're totally going to be checking out. Now, bonus tip for salvia, going back to those cuttings, the cuttings will root in about 10 to 14 days, and they need humidity, so you need a bag or dome over the top of it, and they do need bottom heat because they love the heat. Okay, number 5 on my list of the top 8 easiest plants to propagate is petunias, and I love petunias. They don't do great for me in this area because we get so hot and dry during the summer that they're just not happy. So being able to propagate petunias is a really cost-effective approach for me. I grow a lot of them from seed now, which is great, and I love to do that. But come this summer, when it starts to get really hot, it's a great opportunity for me to go ahead and take several petunia cuttings, bring them inside, propagate them through the hottest part of the summer, and then get them replanted outside in the fall. So why I think petunias are great: specialty varieties can be expensive, but they do propagate easily. So I grow a lot of cool varieties from seed, but you can certainly get a lot of cool varieties at nurseries. And so you might just buy one large pot of petunias and turn that into several plants, which is really fun and cost effective. Propagation method for petunias is tip cuttings, and then you're going to strip the lower leaves and place in moist soil, and then you will add a dome to that as well so that they can stay humid. And so you want newest growth on the petunias. You want the very newest tips of the plant, and those are what's going to propagate better for you over time. Bonus tip for petunias: you need to keep them in bright indirect light until they've rooted, and it takes them about 7 to 10 days to root. So not too bad at all. So far, besides the salvia, that's about the longest propagation we have so far. Okay, number 6 on my list for the top 8 easiest plants to propagate is lemon verbena. And this is something that I want back in my garden. I used to have it, and then I dug it up and got rid of it, and now I wish I had it again. So I need to look at adding it. Why do I think lemon verbena is great? It is a scented herb with ornamental value. It smells amazing. Absolutely amazing. Lemony, fresh, a little earthy, a little woody, smells absolutely amazing. I've utilized it for years in cut flower arrangements, which is really, really fun. I also feel like it's a great deterrent for pests because it has such a strong scent, and it does put off some really soft white flowers that look beautiful in flower arrangements as well. Now, the propagation method for lemon verbena is soft stem cuttings, and anytime I say soft stem cuttings, that is the newest growth, the brand new growth on the plant. That is going to be the softest, newest growth, and that is what you want for soft stem cuttings. And you want to utilize a rooting hormone. Rooting hormones are always optional, but specifically for lemon verbena, a rooting hormone is extremely helpful. Now, a bonus tip for lemon verbena is to keep the humidity high with a plastic dome or a bag over the top of it. And you can do that with a lot of the cuttings. Just keep an eye on it so you make sure that they're not rotting. And then it takes about 10 to 14 days for lemon verbena to root, but well worth it. I do think that lemon verbena is quite the spreader, so put it in an area that you feel confident about and that you don't mind if it spreads out a little bit. Okay, number 7 on my list of top 8 easiest plants to propagate is Mandeville vines. And why I think it's great: because Mandeville vines are so stinking expensive. So I recently planted a couple of Mandeville vines that I got from Costco, and I had so many people jump in the comments and be like, Amanda, you need to propagate those. You need to propagate those. We're going to propagate Mandeville vines. Thank you so much for letting me know. Mandeville vines are something I love, but they're an annual and they're expensive. And so being able to go and maybe propagate these and create some other beautiful displays for later on in the season, or come to them at the end of the fall, take some cuttings, propagate them over the winter, and then be able to have plants ready to go in the spring is a huge cost savings for a very dramatic plant. They are dramatic tropical flowers, tend to be very expensive in the spring, but they add just such a lot of color and punch to the garden. Okay, propagation method for Mandeville vines is take a 4 to 6 inch soft wood tip cuttings. You're going to dip them in rooting hormone, root in moist, well-draining soil under a dome or in a warm, humid spot. So you're hearing a lot of the same things: brand new growth cuttings, utilizing humidity, rooting hormones are great, soft, well-draining soil, in a warm environment. All these are very similar methods for propagation. Bonus tip from Mandeville vines is grow as an annual or overwinter indoors, or propagate for next year. So I'm going to try to do both. I'm going to try to propagate them, and the plants that I already have, the 2 that I have, I'm going to cut those back and I'm going to try to overwinter those in my garage this year. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, and number 8 on my list of the top 8 easiest plants to propagate is Swedish ivy. And I'm obsessed with Swedish ivy. I propagated a ton of it this year and it's absolutely gorgeous. Why I think it's great: lush trailing foliage, fast growing filler in pots. Great for shade, can take a little bit of part sun, fill spaces quickly, and then it dies back in the winter. So I don't have to stress if it goes bonkers and crazy. And I loved how it went crazy in my shade garden this year. I mean, it was all over the place and it felt like a secret garden. And then everything died back in the winter. I didn't have to worry about it. Like, I didn't have to worry that it was taking over. So I really, really loved that aspect of it. Now, propagation method for Swedish ivy is you just snap a stem and you root it in water or soil. Super fast and easy. I didn't put the date on that, but it doesn't take very long. I'll drop the date below, and I think I forgot to drop the date for the Mandeville vine, so I'll make sure I put that in there, or the amount of days as well. So literally, even with Swedish ivy, you can just break off a piece and throw it on the ground, and it's just going to root in right there in its spot. It's fabulous. And so really, really fun to grow. You can keep it small and keep cutting it back during the winter because it will grow quickly. And then just keep repropagating all of that, and then just have tons of beautiful plants to put in your garden or give away to others. Bonus tip for Swedish ivy: it makes a great house plant and is shade tolerant spiller for outdoors. So really beautiful plant. Like, I'm going to have some of it right here on the patio. I'm really focusing on shade plants on my front patio this year. In the past, I always try to force some sun nut plants because I like the color. This year, I'm really going to hold back, focus on shade plants, and Swedish ivy is definitely going to be one of them. Okay, there's my top 8 plants. I'm sure I missed some that are really, really good. Like, as I was talking about this and I wrote all this, I was like, Tradescantia. Tradescantia is a great plant to propagate. Forgot to put that on there. But drop me below. Let me know what plants you like to propagate, or if you have any really great propagation methods. Now let's talk about a few propagation tips in case you decide to just go ahead and jump into the propagation game. So you always want to use clean, sharp snips whenever you are taking your cuttings, and we're just being sure that we're not transferring any disease to those cuttings. You want to remove lower leaves to avoid rot. We don't want any leaves in the soil or touching the soil. That introduces disease into the plant. You want to keep cuttings humid, not soggy. So we want to keep domes over the top or plastic bag. A little bit of airflow. If it gets too wet inside the dome, you can take it off for an hour or so and then put it back on. Rooting hormone is optional, but extremely helpful for woody vines like Mandeville vine. And I do like to utilize rooting hormone. One little container is really pricey, but I mean, it lasts for so long. And then best light will be bright indirect light until the roots form. Once the roots form, you can put it in whatever kind of light that particular plant requires. I most likely will just put them to the side in my grow room where I'll have my grow lights on, but they won't be directly under those lights. They'll just be to the side, so they'll just get indirect light throughout the day. Okay? I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a fun one. You know, I've been really trying to be budget conscious about what I'm growing and how I'm growing things in my garden and how I'm spending. And, you know, it's amazing. I'm pretty sure I've grown thousands of dollars worth of plants this year from seed. Like, I could open my own nursery, sell it, and make thousands of dollars. I'm not going to do that. But it's been really fun because my garden is more full and more lush than it has ever been. And by growing so much from seed, it has allowed me to invest in some other things that I wouldn't typically be able to invest in. So that's pretty exciting. You know, I've been able to put some lanterns out, and I was able to get some Mandeville vines this year and some peony roots and just some things that are a little bit more pricey that I wouldn't typically be able to get. But because I saved so much from growing from seed and propagating, I was able to do that. So I'm really hoping that the rest of y'all can do that as well. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed today's videos. Let me know all your propagation tips and ideas for other plants that you think propagate really well. hydrangeas. I know you can propagate roses. There's so many different things that you can do. So drop those comments below and let us know your thoughts on that. As always, make sure you like and comment on the video. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow the video so much. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, just drop me an emoji below, letting me know you made it to the end of the video and you say hi. And jump over to my Patreon community. I am doing all my social media over in Patreon. So if you want to know what's going on a daily basis with She's a Mad Gardener, you can use the link in my video description below. There is a free tier, and that typically will show just pictures and posts of what I'm doing out and about, sales, what I'm finding, questions, polls, things like that. And then there are additional paid tiers that include videos, exclusive full-length videos that are like 30 minutes long, that are just more of a casual conversation in the garden, which is really, really fun. Enjoy those. You also get to share pictures and join in chats, which is really fun. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.